What if I told you there is a plant that grows wild all over the world? A plant that most people see as a painful nuisance. A plant that has more vitamin C than an orange, more iron than spinach, and more calcium than milk. What if I told you that this same plant was used to make clothing for thousands of years, that it was a key part of traditional medicine, and that it is one of the most nutritious foods you can possibly eat? And what if I told you that this incredible plant has been deliberately classified as a weed, a plant to be eradicated, not because it is harmful, but because it is too powerful, too resilient, and too free for a system that wants to control every aspect of our food supply? My name is Marcus Thornwood. I am a 68-year-old botanist and agricultural geneticist. And for my entire life, I have been fascinated by the plants that grow in the margins, the plants that we have been taught to ignore, to fear, to destroy. And there is no plant that fits that description better than the common stinging nettle. I know what you are thinking. Stinging nettle? The plant that gives you a painful rash? The plant that you have been told to avoid at all costs? Yes, that is the one. But I am here to tell you that everything you think you know about stinging nettle is wrong. It is not a weed. It is a superfood. It is a medicine. It is a fiber. It is a survival plant of the highest order. And the fact that we have been taught to hate it is one of the greatest tragedies of our modern food system. Let's start with the nutrition, because it is truly staggering. 100 grams of fresh nettle leaves contains between 175 and 200 milligrams of vitamin C. An orange, by comparison, has about 53 milligrams. That means that bite for bite, stinging nettle has 3 to 4 times more vitamin C than an orange. It is also packed with vitamin A, vitamin K, and several B vitamins. It is a great source of iron, potassium, manganese, and calcium. And it is loaded with protein, up to 25% of its dry weight, which is incredibly high for a leafy green. It also contains a significant amount of alpha-linolenic acid, a valuable omega-3 fatty acid. This is not just a plant. This is a multivitamin, a mineral supplement, and a protein shake, all rolled into one. So why on earth would we classify this plant as a weed? Why would we spend millions of dollars every year on herbicides to kill a plant that is more nutritious than almost anything you can buy in the grocery store? The answer is simple, and it is the same story we have seen with so many other forgotten plants. It is about control. It is about convenience. And it is about fear. The most obvious reason we hate nettle is because it stings. The leaves and stems are covered in tiny hollow hairs called trichomes. When you brush against them, the tips break off, and the hairs act like tiny hypodermic needles, injecting a cocktail of chemicals into your skin, including histamine, serotonin, and acetylcholine. This is what causes the familiar stinging, itching, and redness. It is a brilliant defense mechanism, and it is very effective at deterring animals from eating the plant raw. But here is the secret that our ancestors knew, a secret that has been largely forgotten in our modern world. The sting is temporary, and it is easily neutralized. Soaking the leaves in water or cooking them for just a few minutes completely destroys the stinging chemicals. Once cooked, nettle has a delicious, earthy flavor, similar to spinach, but richer and more complex. It can be used in soups, stews, pestos, polentas, and even in bread and pastries. In many parts of the world, from Romania to Greece to Albania, nettle is still a cherished part of the traditional cuisine. But in the industrialized West, we have lost this knowledge. We have become so disconnected from our food, so reliant on the sanitized, prepackaged products in the grocery store, that we have forgotten how to interact with a plant that asks for a little bit of respect and a little bit of knowledge. We have been taught to see the sting not as a challenge to be overcome, but as a threat to be eliminated. And so, we spray it with poison, We pull it out by the roots, and we teach our children to fear it. This is a profound loss, because in our war against the nettle, we are not just destroying a plant. We are destroying a piece of our own history. For thousands of years, nettle was one of the most important plants for human survival. Long before we had cotton, we had nettle. The stems contain a strong, durable fiber, similar to linen. Archaeologists have found nettle textiles in Denmark that date back to the Bronze Age, almost 3,000 years ago. It is believed that for centuries, nettle was one of the primary sources of fiber for clothing, rope, and fishing nets in Europe. There are even claims, though they are hard to verify, that German army uniforms were made from nettle during World War I, when there was a shortage of cotton. And it was not just a source of fiber, it was a source of medicine. Nettle is one of the 9 plants invoked in the Anglo-Saxon 9 Herbs Charm, a 10th century text that documents the traditional healing practices of the time. It was used as a galactagogue to promote lactation in nursing mothers. It was used as a diuretic to support kidney function. And it was used in a practice called urtication, or flogging with nettles, to treat the pain of arthritis and rheumatism. This may sound strange, but the idea was that the sting would increase blood flow to the affected area and reduce inflammation. And modern science is beginning to confirm what our ancestors knew. A 2000 study found that applying nettle leaf to the site of arthritic pain provided significant relief. So, we have a plant that is a nutritional powerhouse, a source of fiber, and a powerful medicine. A plant that has been a partner to humanity for thousands of years, and we call it a weed. Why? Because it is inconvenient. Because it does not fit into the neat, tidy rows of industrial agriculture. Because it grows for free, in the margins, without any need for human intervention. And because it has a defense mechanism that requires us to be mindful, to be present, to be engaged with our food in a way that we are no longer accustomed to. I want you to think about what it means to classify a plant like this as a weed. A weed is, by definition, a plant in the wrong place. But who decides what the right place is? For the lawn care companies that sell us millions of dollars of herbicides every year, the right place is a monoculture of perfect green grass with no other plants allowed. For the agricultural corporations that sell us a handful of patented seeds, the right place is a vast field of corn or soy with no other plants allowed. In this system, any plant that grows on its own, that offers its gifts for free, that competes with the cash crops, is a threat. It is a weed, and it must be destroyed. But I want to offer you a different definition. A weed is a plant whose virtues have not yet been discovered. And by that definition, stinging nettle is not a weed at all. It is a treasure. It is a gift from the earth, a symbol of resilience, of abundance, of the untamable wildness that still exists, even in our paved-over poisoned world. And the best part is, you can reclaim this treasure. You can bring this incredible plant back into your life. And it is easier than you think. The first step is to learn how to identify it. Stinging nettle is a perennial plant, which means it comes back every year. It has a square stem, and its leaves are heart-shaped, with a serrated edge, and they grow in opposite pairs. And of course, it has the telltale stinging hairs. It is important to be sure of your identification, as there are some lookalikes. But once you know what you are looking for, you will start to see it everywhere. In parks, in backyards, along trails, in the forgotten corners of your own neighborhood. To harvest it, you will need a good pair of gloves and some scissors. The best time to harvest is in the spring, when the plants are young and tender, just a few inches tall. You can snip off the top 4 to 6 leaves. As the plant gets older, the leaves can become tough and gritty, but you can continue to harvest the young leaves from the top of the plant throughout the season. Once you have your harvest, The possibilities are endless. You can steam the leaves and eat them as a side dish, with a little butter and salt. You can blend them into a vibrant green soup. You can make a delicious and nutritious pesto. You can dry the leaves and use them to make a mineral-rich herbal tea. You can even add them to your bread dough or your pancake batter. The flavor is rich and complex, and the nutritional benefits are off the charts. I want to tell you a story that, for me, captures the spirit of this incredible plant. There is an annual competition in Dorset, England, called the World Nettle Eating Championship. It started in 1986 as a way for two farmers to settle a dispute about who had the worst nettle problem on their land. One of them said to the other, "I'll eat any nettle of yours that's longer than mine." And a tradition was born. Every year, people from all over the world gather to see who can eat the most raw nettle leaves in an hour. It is a celebration of the plant, a defiant act of reclaiming a food that has been demonized and forgotten. It is a way of saying, this is not a weed. This is our food. This is our heritage. And that is the message I want to leave you with today. Stinging nettle is more than just a plant. It is a symbol. It is a reminder that the most valuable things in life are often the things that we have been taught to overlook. It is a challenge to our modern food system, a system that values profit over nutrition, convenience over resilience, and control over freedom. And it is an invitation to step outside of that system, to reconnect with the wild, to reclaim the knowledge of our ancestors, and to discover the abundance that is all around us, waiting to be rediscovered. So, the next time you see a patch of stinging nettle, I want you to see it differently. Do not see a weed. See a superfood. Do not see a nuisance. See a survivor. Do not see a threat. See a gift. And if you are feeling brave, put on some gloves and take some home. Your body will thank you for it. I would love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever eaten stinging nettle? Do you have a favorite recipe? What other weeds do you think are misunderstood? Share your stories and your wisdom in the comments below. Let's create a community of people who are not afraid to look in the margins, to question the official story, and to find the treasures that have been hidden in plain sight. Thank you for joining me on this journey. The world is full of wonders if we only have the eyes to see them. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and never be afraid of a little sting. There is something else I want to share with you about this remarkable plant, something that speaks to a deeper truth about our relationship with the natural world. Stinging nettle is what ecologists call an indicator species. Its presence tells us something important about the land. Nettle thrives in soil that is rich in nitrogen and phosphate. And where do you find soil like that? Near human habitation, near old farmhouses, near the sites of ancient settlements. In Europe, the presence of a dense patch of nettles can indicate the location of a building that was abandoned centuries ago. The plants are feeding on the nutrients left behind by generations of human activity. Think about what that means. This plant, which we have been taught to despise, is actually a marker of our own history. It is a living connection to our ancestors. It grows where we have lived, where we have worked, where we have raised our families. It is a reminder that we are not separate from nature, but deeply embedded in it. Our lives leave traces in the soil, and the plants respond. Nettle is a witness to our presence on this earth, and this relationship goes both ways. For thousands of years, humans have shaped the landscape, and the landscape has shaped us. We have co-evolved with these plants. They have fed us, clothed us, healed us, and in return, we have created the conditions in which they thrive. This is not a relationship of domination, but of partnership. It is a dance that has been going on for millennia. And when we spray herbicides on the nettles, when we tear them out of the ground, we are not just killing a plant. We are severing a thread in the web of life that connects us to our past and to the earth itself. I want to talk more about the practical side of this, because I know that for many of you, the idea of foraging for wild food can seem intimidating. We've been so conditioned to believe that food comes from the grocery store, that anything growing wild must be dangerous or dirty. But I want to assure you that foraging is one of the safest and most rewarding activities you can engage in, as long as you follow a few simple rules. First, always be certain of your identification. With stinging nettle, this is relatively easy, because the sting itself is a clear identifier. But there are other plants that look similar, so it is worth taking the time to learn the distinguishing features. The square stem, the opposite leaves, the serrated edges, and of course the stinging hairs. If you are not sure, do not eat it. There are many good field guides and online resources that can help you learn. Second, be mindful of where you harvest. Avoid areas that may have been sprayed with pesticides or herbicides. Avoid roadsides, where plants can absorb pollutants from car exhaust. And avoid areas near industrial sites or old dumps. The best places to harvest are in your own backyard, in parks that you know are not sprayed, or in wild areas away from human activity. Nettle can absorb nitrates from the soil, so avoid harvesting near cowsheds or heavily fertilized farmland. Third, harvest sustainably. Take only what you need and leave plenty behind for the plant to regenerate and for other foragers, both human and animal. Nettle is an important food source for many species of butterflies and moths. The caterpillars of the peacock butterfly, the small tortoiseshell, and the comma all feed on nettle leaves. By harvesting responsibly, you are ensuring that this abundance continues for generations to come. Now, let me share a few more ways to use this incredible plant. I have already mentioned cooking the leaves, but there is so much more you can do. The seeds, which ripen in late summer, are also edible and highly nutritious. They contain vitamin E, linoleic acid, and a range of other micronutrients. You can harvest them when they are dark green, dry them, and sprinkle them on porridge, yogurt, or salads. They have a slightly nutty flavor and are a wonderful addition to your diet. You can also make a powerful herbal tea from dried nettle leaves. This tea is rich in minerals and has been used for centuries to support kidney function, to reduce inflammation, and to promote overall vitality. Simply steep a tablespoon of dried leaves in hot water for 10 to 15 minutes. The taste is mild and earthy, and it is a wonderful way to start your day. I also want to address a question that I often get asked. Is it safe to eat nettle raw? The answer is, technically, yes. The sting can be neutralized by crushing the leaves, which breaks the stinging hairs. This is what the competitors do at the World Nettle Eating Championship. But for most people, I would recommend cooking the leaves. It is easier, more pleasant, and ensures that all the stinging chemicals are completely neutralized. Let me also say a word about the ecological importance of nettle. We have talked about its value to humans, but it is also a keystone species in many ecosystems. The dense patches of nettle provide shelter for a wide variety of insects and small animals. The leaves are food for caterpillars. The seeds are food for birds. The roots help to stabilize the soil and prevent erosion. When we destroy nettle, we are not just removing a plant. We are removing a habitat, a food source, a vital piece of the ecological puzzle. But it does not have to be this way. We can choose a different path. We can choose to see the nettle not as an enemy, but as an ally. We can choose to learn from it, to work with it, to integrate it into our lives. And in doing so, we can begin to heal the damage that has been done and create a future that is more abundant and more in harmony with the natural world. So, I want to leave you with a challenge. This spring, when the nettles begin to emerge, go out and find a patch. Put on your gloves, harvest a handful of leaves, and bring them home. Cook them, taste them, and feel the vitality that they bring to your body. Think about the generations of humans who have eaten it before you, and think about the future that we can create if we are willing to look beyond the sting and see the treasure that lies beneath. I would love to hear about your experiences. Have you tried foraging for nettle? What is your favorite way to prepare it? Share your stories in the comments below. Thank you for being here. The world is full of hidden wonders, and together we can rediscover them. Until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and never stop exploring.